So, this is the romantic compatibility between two cancers. So, whenever you have two people who are the same exact zodiac sign, you really get an amplification of that energy of that zodiac. So, this can be good and bad. So, in some ways it can be good because you have two people who really understand one another and they feel things and kind of think the same way, so they can see where the other is coming from. In other ways it can be too bad if you're too similar, so in that way you could maybe clash with one another. So, Cancer is a water sign. So, when you mix two water signs together, you get a very deep emotional type of commitment with one another. So, these are two people who feel very strongly for one another, and they might not really show it on the surface. They might not communicate this with one another directly, how much they care for each other, but there is that deep mutual understanding that you can really feel. You don't even have to say it. You can just feel that your partner really loves you and cares for you, and you really just see where they're coming from on a very intuitive level. And there's definitely like a lot of telepathy between two water signs when they get together. So, Cancer is a cardinal sign. So, that means Cancer really likes to initiate and be the one to start things. So, in this case, with two Cancers, you could have two people who both make the equal effort to start things off, make the first move, especially in the beginning of the relationship. Both partners are really going to be putting in a lot of work into this connection to get it going, to get it off the ground. Once the relationship is already established, then you're going to have to put a little bit more work into it, and you're going to find the beginning of the relationship feels a lot more natural. Then as it progresses, it's going to become a little bit more difficult. So, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So, the moon is super feminine, very emotional, very intuitive. So, water signs alone are very intuitive, but being a Cancer yourself, ruled by the moon, you're just super intuitive. You have great psychic ability, and you just know things without even like saying it. So, a good thing about when two cancers get together is that they can literally read each other's minds. So, if there's a problem in the relationship, right away, like you can sense something is off, like you can detect it. Whereas with other signs who are more direct, you could have more of an issue with that. Um, where you basically, as a Cancer, you sort of expect your partner to read your mind. So if you are a Cancer dealing with another Cancer, then problem solved. Like you guys are already reading each other's minds. So it kind of works out in that way. The only issue is that you two are not very confrontational. So even when you're both well aware that something is off, you're probably not going to actually discuss it or bring it up. So that's one downside about that. Also, as the moon, you guys, just like how the moon changes, um, goes from full moon to new moon, waning, waxing. It's just constantly shifting. You guys, as Cancers, you are constantly shifting, especially when it comes to your mood. And a lot of people say Cancers are moody because they're just always changing, they're ever evolving. So if you two are on totally different pages, like one person is feeling really like upset and the other is really happy, I mean that can be an issue. But you guys, you have that understanding that like moods in general, especially for you, are not concrete. There's something that they're always moving. You understand that that's a part of life. So you don't expect your partner to be constantly happy. And same with you. Like your partner will not constantly expect you to be happy. And if they see that you're upset or having a bad day, they understand that this too shall pass. And changing moods is basically a part of life. So, as a Cancer, you're ruled by the fourth house, and this rules home and family and stability too. So, as a Cancer, you really crave stability, and so will your partner too. So, that really makes for a great combination for commitment with one another because you both want to feel very secure within your relationship. And it's very common that you two will just like to sort of not really go out too much and kind of just stay in most nights and maybe just like go to the movies or just stay home and make popcorn and have a movie night with one another. And you guys are perfectly fine with that. Um, I mean, it depends on what other zodiacs you have in your chart. But if you have prominent Cancer or you have like a couple Cancer placements, then for sure you and your partner are just happy, just like chilling, just staying at home. You don't really have to be extravagant with your relationship or with your date nights or anything. You guys are just happy, like just hanging out, just staying in. It's just like just a very like chill and low key relationship. And you definitely like you're aware that insecurity can get in the way, and I feel like as Cancers you two are both reminding one another that you love the person and that you do want to stay with them, and it just makes you feel really good to have that constant reassurance. It's something that you really crave. So as a Cancer, you are symbolized by the crab. So you have a very hard shell. You basically you tend to run away and avoid conflict. So as your coping mechanism, whenever you're feeling like threatened or upset or anything, you get into that shell, that crab shell of yours, and you just kind of run away and hide. And you're not really one to like go face conflict like head on. You're really just gonna like just keep to yourself and just stay low key and sort of just like basically like hiding in your shell, hiding under a rock and just waiting for the storm to pass. And then once you see that it's clear, you'll come out. So basically, as two Cancers, the good thing is that you're never really going to have like verbal arguments really with one another. At least not face to face. Maybe maybe texting or something is another story, but like when you guys are together in person, like you're not gonna just like lash out at one another. Like there won't really be any like intense arguing like that. But of course, every relationship has their issues. So you two are just, you handle it very differently. Um, Instead of like yelling at one another and trying to like hash it out, you'll really just kind of suppress it. And in that case, you have to be careful that there isn't a lot of resentment within this relationship, because if you keep stuffing things down and you never get to the root of the problem, it's just gonna build up as resentment over time. But the good thing about two Cancers is that you two are just so intuitive and you're just always reading each other's minds that, like, it's basically impossible to hide the fact that you have an issue with your partner. Like, they may not know why you're upset or why you're stressed, but they will tell that you're being distant, and they'll know exactly why you're doing that and what it means. And they'll know like when to not take it personally too. They know that sometimes you just get very overstimulated and you really just need to be by yourself. You're definitely a much more introverted sign. So you two like understand that. I feel like you're never really going to push each other's limits. You're never really going to push each other's buttons. Um, yeah. So then when it comes to the chemistry, you guys have a really, really like deep connection with one another. And this is not really like a big, like high key or like flashy type of relationship. It's just like very chill, very calm too. Um, I was also gonna say there can definitely be conflict in any relationship. So even though you guys are never going to yell at each other really, you can definitely have like very cold moments, like giving each other the cold shoulder, like refusing to talk to one another. But again, you guys both understand that this is your natural coping mechanism, so you probably won't take that as personally as any other sign would, because you understand why you do that and how it's your form of self protection, self mechanism, your defense mechanism. But yeah, the chemistry is really good. I feel like there's just this deep emotional bond between one another. Um, so I feel like you guys do kind of take it slow with one another, especially like going into the bedroom. You would probably just take it really slow and just try to like really read your partner, and don't do anything that you feel like they wouldn't be ready for or that they would be too surprised for. But it's just really sweet and soft and tender and beautiful, and there's probably a lot of candles lit everywhere, and maybe even some soft music or something. It's just really sweet. Like, it's literally like the definition of making love, really. Like, it's completely beyond the physical. Like, it's literally the act of making love with one another. So, thank you so much for watching, Cancer. Remember that you're not just bound to your sun sign, too. You also have, if you look up your chart, if you know your birthplace and your birth time, you have your rising sign, your moon sign, and then I would also check your Venus for sure. Thank you.